I started it.
He should have done. Oh, I don't care. He should have done it for us. So hey guys, thanks for tuning in to What the Fuck Are We Doing? I'm Randy,
and I'm Miranda. We should have had him do it.
We should have. So currently, if you don't notice, Miranda's location change. Mm-hmm. She's currently at her man's house. And what we were talking about is Rodrigo was making fun of the way Miranda and I say our
names.
Always. Or he wasn't even making fun. He was just saying it.
But he'll do it. Like, we'll just be driving. And he goes, and I'm Miranda. I'm like, why are you so fucking rude? Like,
but right now he said my name too. And it would have been nice to have him introduce us. But here we are.
We should.
Today, we are talking all things red flags. Mm-hmm. And we're going to throw green flags in there too. Because I feel like the conversation is always just negative. And like surrounding red flags, you know? Mm-hmm. So let's throw some green flags in there. I feel like this is a huge conversation right now with people.
I know. Well, we were just talking about that TikTok we saw.
There's TikToks. There was a huge thing on Twitter for a while. Like, it's not really a trend anymore, I would say. But did you see the whole like red flag?
Yeah, with the little emoji.
Yeah, they would do the red flag emoji.
Yeah.
That was a fun time. That was what, a couple weeks ago. I have no sense of time.
I don't either. I was just going to say that. I don't have a sense of time either. But you know what's crazy is like Christmas is next week.
I'm not even ready.
I thought that we were just in October. We were just like talking about Halloween.
Yeah. Like, I can't believe Thanksgiving passed already.
In like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I can't believe it either. But I think it's because we're old. Because when you're little, you're excited. I mean, I'm excited, but it's different. Like, you're like anticipating it so much that it takes so long.
I think for me, especially this year, like normally, yes, I'm a procrastinator, but typically when it comes to gifts, I feel like I'm not. Mm-hmm. And this year, I'm so behind. Mm-hmm. And that's stressing me out. Because I'm like, oh my God, it's only a couple days away.
It just also still doesn't feel like normal. Christmas? Yeah. I don't know when we're gonna feel like that. Maybe some people feel normal, but I don't feel like it's super normal yet.
Yeah, we'll see. But red flags.
Everyone. Just kidding.
I feel like I deal with red flags on a daily basis.
I typically do too.
Yeah. And that's something I'm not trying to deal with anymore. But let's get into this conversation. Okay, so we're gonna talk about dating, red flags and green flags, as well as friendships, just typical relationships.
Yes.
So, Miranda, do you want to start us off with some dating red flags of yours?
Yeah.
Even though they'll probably be very, very, very similar.
Oh, I'm sure. So, the ones that I had wrote down, I'm looking at my phone, people, are
notes.
People that lie, which, like, duh.
Yeah.
I feel like my ones about friends are more interesting. I'm excited about that. People that are friends with their exes, which just goes hand in hand with what we just talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yes. The answer is no, if you guys want to listen to the episode if you haven't.
And I just don't like that. Rodrigo gave me 2 of his. He said going MIA on the weekends, and I asked him like what he meant, and he said like when he would be dating girls and they would only talk to him like Monday through Thursday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I was like, well, obviously you weren't that exciting. Like
Weekend by SZA.
Like they were not entertained with you. And then he said partying every weekend, which I think that's one too, especially at our age. Like when you're like in like your young, early or late teens, early 20s, like a little different. And then I said mama's boys because I hate that shit.
Yeah, Miranda, she's talked about this in season 1. She's talked about this
something
before
about
the
it
podcast.
Just makes me like ugh. Have you seen that show? If everyone already knows I love trash television.
The one with the daughters.
There's one with moms and sons. It's called
yes.
I Love a Mama's Boy.
Yes.
And they're all losers and they all like are obsessed with their moms and it's weird and it's creepy.
Their moms do everything for them.
Everything for them.
Kind of or girlfriend is just
are
there,
like
right?
They're just like it's weird. It's weird and
like
I don't like it.
They're in between. It's like not their relationship. It's almost like it's
they're
the
like the third husband. Wheel. Yeah. Yes. Ew.
That's insane. Like I couldn't imagine that.
I know. Honestly. I hate that. Okay, go with yours.
So mine are very similar, obviously. Like, no one likes a liar. Another one for me is if they're disrespectful towards their mother. I mean, obviously, there could be so much there in that relationship, but I think, like, I have had bad relationships with my parents at times, but I don't think that still gives you the right to be disrespectful. I mean, like, say I'm dating a guy or getting to know a guy and we're hanging out, and the whole time he's just like bashing on his family and like talking shit. Like, to me, that's just like gross.
I almost put something about family down too, but then I was like, my answer for this is gonna be like, it depends, because it really does depend.
Like, how I said, it's very situational. You don't know someone's relationship or the trauma or anything that's going on between them. But I just think, like, in my case, like, in my experience, like, if I'm getting to know or dating someone, I'm not just, like, if someone brings up my family, like, oh, what about your family? I'm not just going to be like, oh, fuck this, fuck them, they do all this. Like, I'm just going to be like, you know what?
I'm not close with them.
That's not the best. Or, you know, you can go about it in different ways. But to me, a red flag is when they're straight up, like, blatantly, like, just disrespecting them and talking so much shit.
Yeah. Or when it's, like, very clear that they are the problem. Like, it's not their family that's the problem. It's you're the one that's the issue. You can
see that, too. But, like, just someone who's disrespectful. Thanks, Rodrigo.
Thanks, Rodrigo. Bless you.
You are blessed.
He's fucking sitting here covering his mouth like that.
He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, you're in my house. I just fixed the internet for you. But yeah, I think to me that's just a red flag. Also, if people are disrespectful, and the way they treat like service people, like retail workers, if you're at a restaurant, like I've dated guys, I've been on dates with guys who have been like, I don't know if this is like an anxious thing or if I was like taught this, but when I go to restaurants, I always like stack the plates and like try to make everything like more clean, you know, like easier for the worker to like come and do their job. I don't know why I do this. I just do it.
I do that. I'll like, they'll like come to get one thing and I'm like, oh, here. And I start
and I'll like start, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. We don't need it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'll do that. And I'll never forget, this guy I was dating, an ex-boyfriend of mine. I was doing that and he undid it. I remember he like
my face just plates. Like angry twitched.
I remember stacking the plates and he unstacked them and was like, that's their job, like give them something to do. And I was like,
clearly you've never worked a job like that, sir.
Yeah, and it's like I've never worked in a restaurant either, but to me,
but you've worked customer service jobs,
it's like,
and it's like
he hasn't. But
that's like like people that when they go try on clothes and then they give it to you back in a pile. I hang up all the clothes I try on and like rebutton the pants, re-zip the pants.
But I don't know, to me that's just like a huge red flag, because I just think like you have no common courtesy or decent, like you're just not a nice human being almost. Like that's kind of the sense I get.
It's like entitled.
Yes, exactly. So those are some of my red flags. Another one I would say, just like basic communication, like the way you speak to me. And I guess one example, like from the TikTok I sent you, I related to it so much, and I
know it made me think
it had. See, this is the thing. This is why it's nice to have someone who's in a healthy, loving relationship and someone who's in a relationship with themselves. Totally. But there's a TikTok. It'll be up on our story, and if you're not listening to it on Monday, it'll be in our TikTok highlights. But this girl shows a text message and she's like, this is a work of art. And it's like a guy who says like, I want to see you, or like, hey, let's get drinks tonight at this time. And she's like, this is bullshit. And it's like a guy like, you can come over if you want, or like,
or it was like
WID,
like,
you know. And
yes,
I get plenty of WID, come see me if you want, you know. I get texts like that all the fucking time. And I'm trying to take a step back and not deal with people like that. It's so much nicer to let someone know like, oh, I want to see you, let's make a plan to see each other this time, like even if you're both busy. But red flags to me, and I hate it because a coworker of mine told me that I remind her of a baby bull because I chase red flags. Yeah. So that's what she
You
calls me.
do. You do, though.
I do. I'm not trying to do it anymore. I know I always say this,
Yeah,
guys,
you do.
but my thing now is I'm getting better. When I get a text from a guy, even if I think he's hot, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
when he just tells me like WID, I get so grossed out now. Like I really do. Like
Yeah,
this
well,
guy
even
texted me last night. I'm going to read these messages to you guys.
is this who I think it is? The one that we were talking about when we went to dinner the other day? When you
Yes.
were like, yeah. I told
Yes.
her that he looks like he's a red flag. His face just screams it. He
Um,
doesn't look like a good influence.
But this guy texted me the other day. We were supposed to hang out weeks ago, like we had plans or whatever, and they fell through. And I know he only wants one thing, you know, which is
Yeah.
like that's fine if that's all you want. At least like you're honest about it. But this guy texts me late at night, only late at night. That's a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'll text me at like 9 and be like, "Oh, doing anything tonight?" Which it's like, okay, whatever.
It's
I'm
9
usually at work
o'clock.
at that
I'm in
time.
bed.
Yeah, I'm usually at work still. But I'll be like, "Oh, working till this time." Super vague. And then he'll text me like an hour after I'm off of work and be like, "Do you want to come over?" And it's like, "No, I don't." Like I'm no longer interested or get excited off of like that little high of someone like wanting you for like
Yeah.
just a couple seconds. Like I don't that's so annoying. Like why are you only texting me after 11 p.m.?
Because he's a whore.
Exactly. Like I don't want that. I don't need that in my life anymore.
I
Like
agree.
I finally have come to the realization that like I can take care of myself, and it's like if you're gonna have
Those
a
things
lasting
are also
relationship.
such like short-term like fulfillment.
Oh, and exactly like the past year has been short term fulfillment for me,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
it's
okay, but
it's fine, but
at
it's
some
like
point,
no.
yeah, you're gonna be like, let's move on
Like
from
no,
this.
I really think I'm at the point where like I'm getting these messages now. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, please shut the fuck up. Like literally, when I text you, I text McKenna, my work bestie, and I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm just fucking over this. And she's like, dude, she's younger than me, and she even tells me, too, Randy, like, why do you even deal with that? And I'm like,
I love
I'm like,
that.
you and Miranda are the same person. Yeah, seriously.
I love that.
But those are some red flags. I kind of went into detail.
I was just thinking about another one, and I can't remember what it was. Like, I just had it in my head, and then you know what? This is more of like an annoyance, but I guess it could also be a red flag depending on like what you like as a person. But like, you know, people that are like, and this is kind of like people that are like mean to like servers and stuff, like people that are like so showy and like just want people to think like they're like so whatever, like rich, cool, whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that type of person?
Like, just very
Ugh.
flashy.
I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah. Like, hype
I don't
beast.
like people that.
Would you say, like,
Oh
hype
my
beasts are
God.
like that?
Yes.
Is that an example?
That makes me want to throw
Yeah.
up. I think
Been
it's
there.
gross. And that's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh. I'm like, I feel like there's an example coming out.
Yeah,
of this.
we
But
have
yeah, been
Yeah.
there, done that. Not a great time.
What else is there? Oh, immaturity. Like just like, you know, to me, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but like men are just immature. They are. It's in their nature to be that way. But like when it's to a point where you're like, are you a fucking child or are you a grown up? Like I
Yeah.
hate that. I've hung out with people like that. I've briefly dated people like that, and it's just so like, ew.
I feel like I could add on to the red flags based off things I've experienced. So, like, texting is one of them, the way you communicate with me, how you communicate with me. Another, to like how Rodrigo said, like going MIA on the weekends. Doing the silent treatment thing, that's a big trigger for me. If I've talked about it many times, my last relationship, he would ghost me constantly. That's how our relationship ended, was him ghosting me. So if you decide to just shut down instead of talking to me about something, or like going MIA and like
Yes.
pulling that shit, like, even though it did happen to me in a previous relationship, I feel like in general, like, that fucks people up. You don't
I
do
was
that to someone.
just okay. You just made me think. One of my good friends, actually, her boyfriend does this like all the time, and every time like her and I like have a conversation about it, I'm like, that's not like an appropriate way to handle conflict.
And it's like, if you have stuff like deeper issues going on,
then
like you
handle
need to
it.
figure that out. Like,
And
I've
told her that. I'm like,
that way.
this isn't, and it makes me sad. I hope she's listening to this. I've told her this. It makes me sad because I'm like, I feel like you're trying to find a reason to like to say that your behavior warrants him ignoring you.
So
and it doesn't. Like, I'm like,
it's
no,
crazy.
no.
Because so my thing, Miranda and I weren't besties when I was in this relationship.
No, we were like right after, which is so crazy.
Yeah, it literally like our friendship started forming like right after we broke up, right after it ended. But I remember all the time, like, I didn't have many friends. I didn't really have many girlfriends. I wasn't allowed to be friends with any of my guy friends. So I was kind of just on my own. But I remember talking to my therapist about this so many times where I'd be like, I would explain to her like, oh yeah, this happened. And then he didn't talk to me for 2 weeks, or he didn't talk to me for 5 days. Like, you know, cause it would gradually get longer and longer or whatever, however he was feeling. But I remember just thinking, like, telling her stories, and then I'd be like, oh, that's exactly why he stopped talking to me, because I did this or I did that. And she'd be like,
no.
What? Like, no. Like, people
Isn't
don't
that
do
wild?
that.
And the thing about it, I think the thing that bothers me so much about it is, like, I don't know. I just don't think you handle things that way unless someone has, like, seriously done something, like, so absurd and so wrong, and you're like, I literally just need a moment and I cannot speak to you. To me, that's different than being like, oh, we got into a normal argument. You can easily
be like, I need a break.
I need time.
I need some time. But just falling off the face of the earth, I think that's weird.
It's like you're trying to like punish someone.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what my therapist said. My therapist was like, he knows that
he's withholding himself from you as a punishment.
And it gets you riled up, and I would literally get physically sick. I would be so stressed out that I would be throwing up all day, like not eating. Like, it's embarrassing, but that's how you get.
No, yeah, well, that's real life. But isn't that wild?
It's so crazy that, like, I'm a talker, clearly. So when something's wrong, like, I want to talk about it. Like, I couldn't imagine just...
Well, and the thing, too, is, like, it's okay to not, like, to be that person that says, I need a day or I need a couple hours. Totally, but you have to say those things. You can't just be like, fucking gone.
To communicate.
Ew, I hope I'm going to call her after this. I'm going to be like, please listen to Monday's episode. Thanks.
I would say those are some major red flags for me when it comes to dating.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of, like, because
another one I could think of.
What?
Which is so, I feel like it's not controversial, but the way people speak about their exes. So obviously, depending on what happened,
situational. Yeah,
it's very situational. But no matter what happened, I do not appreciate someone, like, say I'm getting to know a guy or whatever, we're dating, if, like, randomly, like, if we're not having, like, a heart-to-heart or something and, like, talking about, like, our exes and, like, shit that's happened, if you're just randomly constantly talking shit about your ex
in, like, a weird way,
like, you're involved in their life still, like, you know all these things about them and you just want to bring up, like, oh, like, bagging on them and stuff constantly, I'm like,
I don't think you let it go at that point.
Yeah, because that, like, to me shows, like, you're not over it, you're not healed from it or whatever. And it also just seems like you still obviously give a fuck, you know, like, you're not over it. Basically, you're not over it. That's what it is. And to me, too, like, I talk shit on people. Like, gonna be honest, I talk shit on my ex. Like, I talk about my ex on here because, like, I'm relaying my experiences to you guys. But typically, a normal conversation, I'm not just bagging on him. Like,
you're not gonna be like, hey, you know who fucking sucks?
Yeah, like, I don't do shit like that. Like, we talk about it on here when it's the time to talk about it.
Yeah, we don't talk about him unless you're like, oh, I ran into someone and they just said, like, blah. Yeah. But it's not, like, random.
We're just not talking about it. So I've met guys, too, who will randomly, like, bring up their ex, or, like, you know, it could be something simple. Like, you're listening to a song in the car and they're like, oh, this song reminds me of them. And then they, like, go on a tangent about how they're so fucking horrible and they did X, Y, and Z or whatever. Yeah. You're just like, okay.
That's weird for sure.
Let's not do that.
I'm trying to think of any other ones that I've seen, and most of mine now come from like what I see in other people's relationships.
She's like, we don't have red flags, baby.
No, so not true. We are not perfect. But I think too, like you have to determine what's like a red flag, like a no go, and then what's like a okay, like I can,
Like an
you know.
orange
And it's not even like
or a yellow.
it's more so like just things that person does that you find like annoying as fuck that's gonna happen. Like Rodrigo does shit that I think's annoying all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
so that's the thing about relationships in general. Like we're gonna get into friendships soon, guys. But relationships are truly just picking someone that you like and give a fuck about, and you make
and
it
like
work.
you dealing with the things that are like ugh.
Remember how you and I had this conversation the other day about like soulmates and like what we thought about that, and how we just think Miranda and I were talking about how there's so many people out there, so it's like how could our idea is like how could you have one person, you know? And I watched a video on this the other day too, where this lady was saying like talking about like monogamous relationships and how like like you and Rodrigo, for example, you two are dating and you guys are exclusive to one another, but in your entire life you have not been monogamous. You've dated other people, you've been with other people. So it's just like that idea of that some people have, like, oh, I have this one person in life that is meant for me and all this stuff. I truly believe, I mean, I'm still very young. I'm only 24 years old. I've only been in 2 serious relationships, haven't been in a super healthy relationship yet. But I get the idea that it's really you just pick someone and you put in the work because you want to make it work and you love them.
That's how I feel too. I mean, there has to be, right? Like there has to be like foundational things that like you have to share like similar values and like those types of things, but it really is like, okay, do I love and care about this person enough to put up with their things? And the answer is yes or no. Yeah. And if the answer is no, then you go, okay, find someone else. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
It wouldn't make sense for there to just be one person, because what's the likelihood of you meeting that one single fucking person?
It's so wild too.
Some people never leave like where they've lived ever. So how would they
know? That's we've talked about this too on the podcast. I don't remember what episode, but remember when we talked about how people like move to different states because they're like, I'm looking for someone and I'm not finding anything.
Oh my God, yes, we did talk about that.
Like that's so crazy. And it works for people. People will move and they'll like meet the love of their life, you know, this person that means so much to them. And it's just wild because I think about like my mom. Like my mom was born in the 70s. And it's just crazy to me because even then, like, there was still this idea of like one person. And it's like, even though she dated, you know, she lived her life, like she didn't have the access to like dating apps and to meeting and seeing all these people from all around the world on the internet. You know, it's just crazy to me, like how there's still this idea like
that there could just be
like
one person.
The one. And like like I mean, to each their own. Everyone has like their own feelings about dating or whatever. But it just blows my mind. Like my cousin, who is 19 years old, has been posting about or talking about how her friends who are also like 19 years old are getting engaged. And I'm like, did you experience life?
It's like, have you left your fucking home city?
Yeah,
have you gone anywhere?
That's cool. If that works for you guys, like I know some people's parents who have been together, like high school sweethearts, and that works.
It just seems
awesome.
boring.
But it's just so wild to me. Like, it's so crazy.
I think about that all the time because like there's people that I have like that I went to high school with that are like they started dating when we were like sophomores and they're still together, and I'm like,
see, that's
cool.
Like
it's crazy. Cool, but then it's also like all this like this
that's all you know,
growth in your life, and I just feel like you missed out on shit. Like I just feel like learning experience. It's not even just like, oh, I need to have sex with other people. It's like you just didn't learn things because you were with
one person, one individual.
Like if I have
you
children,
don't experience anything new.
I'm gonna make them break up with their significant others before college. I'm gonna be like, it doesn't work, end it. Go live your life.
That's the thing. It is very situational, but like just from my experience alone and like conversations I've had with people, like a coworker of mine, I was talking to them the other day, and this person is in a committed marriage, who they are also very young. They're very close to our age, and they both have dated people before they like decided to get married and started dating. But he was talking to me like how they've been having this conversation about like opening up the like doing stuff like that, because it's like they both feel like they didn't get experience.
They missed out. That's what I'm saying. And then it puts you in a weird place, because what if you're okay, so you're both married, you've been married to each other, you're however old, and one of you's like, God, I feel like I missed out, and the other one's like, no. And then what? And then it's like, do you stay?
It's crazy. Like,
I just don't know. I don't.
It's
like
hard.
that.
But this is, I feel like I've said this before, but my favorite thing about life is that you always have the ability and the choice to change your mind. But sometimes doing that fucking sucks and it hurts. Like when you go through a breakup or deciding like, you know what, this isn't working out. But I don't know. Like I remember being in my last relationship and, you know, being so in love and blinded by love and being like, this is going to be forever. Like, this is what I want. Like, you know, you get so comfortable and so like used to your routine. But now being 24 and single and looking, I'm like, imagine I didn't experience that person or I never met that person. Like, dating is truly just, you're not finding out things like, you're finding out what you like and what you don't like, and you experience things and you're like, you know what, I don't like that about someone,
and I don't even
like
think
myself.
It's so much less about like the other people and so much more about the things you will learn and the things that you can't learn those things if you don't go through like what that stuff is. So I just feel like those people are and it's not a bad thing. I mean, some people don't care, but like it's like an immaturity in that aspect of their life because they don't know and they haven't gone through so many things. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I couldn't imagine being married right now. To one person that I had only been with forever and ever, and I was only like, I'm not 25.
Trying to get divorced. Like that's not something I'm trying to do either. But it's just crazy to me how, like, it's so funny. But I see TikToks about this all the time too. I don't know if you have. We haven't talked about it yet. But there's like women on TikTok who talk about how back in the day, like a lot of girls now don't rely on men for things because they can get it on their own. Like we could have jobs now. We can do all these things that men can do, you know, apparently. And back in the day, women relied on men because they couldn't work. They couldn't go to school. They needed a man who had money. You know,
like you had to
support them. You had to. That's all. That was your only way of like surviving, pretty much. And now that's not the way that we have to survive. So now we have things called red flags and green flags that we look out for in potential partners, because it's like you have to bring something more to the table
than money
than
or
a wallet,
like,
or dick to give me kids if that's what you want. You know, like
imagine
there's more. There's more to it, and it's like you don't have to stick with one your whole life.
No, you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's the beauty.
Options. But let's talk about green flags before we get into friendships.
My Wi-Fi's shitty again, guys. So if I disappear, we're blaming Rodrigo. Okay. Ro. My green flags are...
I thought he was like, what?
I thought so too. That's why I turned around. I said someone that knows how to communicate and doesn't ghost you. That's like what we just talked about.
We love that. It's the opposite of the red flag.
Yeah. I said people that say how they're feeling and are in touch with their emotions.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And then I just said people that respect people.
Oh, kind to waiters. Love that.
Like you can't... I don't know. You either are that person or you're not. Like, and I just, like, if someone
you either got it or you don't. What's
and like, if someone doesn't treat people like that kindly, they're probably never going to. So you should just like leave.
Yeah, I feel like it's very rare that someone just, okay, like let's use the example of like Karens. how like Karens will treat people in public. I feel like it's very rare that one day they just wake
and they're
up
like,
without getting like checked. And they're like, oh, I've just been so mean. I'm just gonna be so kind today.
That's what
like,
I'm saying. Like, it doesn't
that
change.
usually happens unless they get checked or like canceled or like,
and even then, it's like fake.
Like, no.
They're fake changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, be fucking kind. Like, it's not hard. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't understand it either.
It's gross. I feel like it's a specific breed of person.
It's usually, just like entitled little fucker people.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to put it. It's, you know what? A lot of, and I'm sad because my sister's young, but I feel like that like age of people, I'm like, is she even going to be able to, like is she going to find someone kind to date? Because everyone is so shitty. Like, these kids don't care about other people.
So crazy because, so right before we started recording this episode, I was talking to my youngest brother, Ezra, who actually just texted me. How funny. He said, am I able to shower?
Say no. You can't shower. Just kidding. Who cares?
But we were talking. He was like, oh, what are you guys talking about on the podcast? And I was like, red flags. And I was like, do you have like any red flags? Like, I wanted to ask him. He's 18 years old.
He's young.
And
oh my God, he's 18. I don't know why in my head I thought he was so young.
My brother is 100% unapologetically himself. He's a different breed. He's definitely one of this like TikTok generation, like these young kids.
It scares me.
So I thought it'd be interesting to ask him. My 18-year-old brother himself told me, Randy, everyone's like a walking red flag. He's like, good luck finding a green one. I was like, oh.
I also, I don't know. I'm just glad that I'm not that age.
I'm glad I'm not their age. I'm glad I was not that age during this time because
same.
I feel like people have no empathy, like no emotional intelligence. Like they're very entitled.
Morgan tells me stuff like about school or like the way people say and I'm like, what? Like, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, that's not normal. Like, I'm not saying when we went to high school, it wasn't all just like fucking hunky dory. Like, people were mean. People were mean to me when I was in high school. But outside of those like few shitty people, everyone kind of just like left everyone alone. And like, we would all like, not like be best friends, but people cared about each other and they weren't like fucking devils to each other.
Yeah, I feel like, I think we're just getting
sad.
Older.
I think like, so, but I also I also think that it has
too,
to do
like,
with like social media shit.
Oh, for sure. But I'm sure too, like there was times when like our parents or like our older siblings were kind of like,
what idiots? Yeah,
you guys do that, you know. But no, I think social media is making things a lot more worse, and I'm on social media all the fucking time, but like I really think this shit's like fucking up people's heads, like especially young kids.
I do too.
Like it's so bad. Like just listening to the way some of them talk, I'm like,
you're like, who raised you? Like,
that came out of your mouth?
I know.
But people probably think that about me all the time, so whatever.
Same, but I pride myself on that.
So more green flags.
Yeah, you have to share yours.
Definitely emotional intelligence. That's a man, because I like men. A man that has emotional intelligence and can like meet me on the level that I'm at when I'm feeling some type of way. Like it very rarely happens, but when it does, like I feel some type of way. Okay. Another thing is, you know, someone who's just like respectable. Some like a guy who carries himself well, who can do things for himself. I love a guy who doesn't. I'm like, how do I say this? Like, I talk about this all the time about how I fucking clean everything in my house.
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know, like a guy who can do that shit without being like...
Without you having to say something or without it being like a big deal. Like, look, I did this. Like, yeah, like they just do it and it's not a thought. It's just like,
it's not like, oh, this is a woman's job. Like, why am I doing this right now or whatever? It's like, bro, it's 2021, almost 2022.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Just stupid. The way a man carries himself, if he could communicate, if he has any sort of emotional intelligence, if he can communicate properly and hold a conversation without shutting down and disappearing, love that. Love all of that.
Same.
Now, friendships, frenzies.
I gotta pull my list up.
Yeah, if you hear that water, my brother's showering.
I was gonna say, I was like, what is that? And then I remembered
He
Ezra got in the shower.
Plans.
Ezra's always on the fucking go, man.
Yeah, like, see, that's not, like, when Miranda Rodrigo said someone who's out every weekend, I feel like that was me for a long time. But yeah, too, like, if I am out every weekend and I see a guy out every weekend, I'm like, bitch, go home.
Yeah, I agree. I don't go out ever, so.
You don't go out at all anymore.
No, I'm too scared.
I'm usually out by myself. Yeah. Don't do it. There's no.
Okay. Do you want me to go with start with my friendship red flags?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like ours are very, very the same.
It doesn't shock me. We just had a conversation about this the other day too.
Yes.
Okay. So I said people that aren't genuinely happy when you succeed, which like duh. I said people that put you in situations that you shouldn't be in, or where they don't have your best interest at heart. And I said people that are friends with people that you don't like, or people that have like screwed you over or done something wrong to you.
Oh, that's a major one for me.
Yeah, that's Randy and I just talked about this because we have people like that in our lives where I'm like, don't you think that it's a pattern that like this person is constantly friends with people that they shouldn't be friends with? Yeah, if they like, care about us the way that they say they do, like they shouldn't be friends with like a handful of people. I just think that's concerning. And I'm not saying it's like be my friend or be her friend, but it's like they're just certain people where it's like you shouldn't.
It's a red flag.
It is. And then I said weirdos, and I just mean that in the sense of like, you know,
not
people
the
that are
good
just
weirdos.
Like I mean weirdo, like I know Randy's experiences because I've experienced this and we've talked about it. Like when we were kids, like those friends that like cling to you and like if they could crawl inside you and live in your skin that they would. Like that's what I mean.
Like they want to be you.
And they like when I was a kid, this used to happen to me all the time. Like I would always, I don't know what's wrong with me, but people would always like latch to me. And they would like show up in the same clothes as me, or like weird shit would happen, and I'd be like, mom, like, and so I think that's just carried on with me throughout my life. I'm like, you like my limited 2 capris, but yeah, so just like weirdos like that, because I think there's definitely like grown people that also behave that way.
Yes,
like weirdos.
And I put something very, like, when people aren't genuinely happy, like, when you succeed, I feel that shit, like, in my bones to my core. I feel like you just get the sense, like...
It's very obvious.
Me, when I have... This is... So, back, I think it was last week, when I said that my guy friend said I'm naive, and I was like... And I took it to heart.
You're like, so rude.
Yeah, I'm like,
so rude, but true.
You didn't have to say that. I'm like, you didn't have to say the word. You could have just said what everyone else says.
Randy, open your eyes. I love that. I'm so glad they said that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But he told me that same day he said that, he was like, you need to stop thinking everyone's your friend. He was like, even if they're acquaintance, they're an acquaintance. Like, you know, like not everyone is your friend. Like you use that term so loosely. And it's true, like, I feel like I'll be friends with people and it's like you share exciting news or something and you just feel that like kind of the hate or what
it's just like weird.
Yeah, and it's like, because I know like me when I'm friends with people, like whether it's Miranda, my best friend, whether it's someone I've been friends with for a couple months, like when people that I love and care about tell me something exciting,
you're
like,
excited.
I am personally, I would like to think Miranda could vouch for me, but I'd be like, oh my God, like, you're so fucking great. Like, you know, I'm so proud of you, like, all these things, and, like, I want to tell the world. But, I don't know, there's people out there who are just, like, so bothered. And it's like, we could all win.
Yeah, we could all do it.
No, I've had friends like that, too, like, so many, and it's always, like, and this is the thing. This could be in romantic relationships, platonic relationships, family, like, you know, like I've experienced it in all 3 categories and it's not a good feeling, and that is a huge red flag.
You feel like you have to like it's like competing, like you're like like you'll say something and they'll be like, oh well I did it, and you're like,
it's like
okay,
cool,
but it's like I'm telling you about something that I just did. Shh, like, let's not talk about what you did 5 years ago. Like, ugh. You're
be
so right.
excited for
That
me,
could
be
be in like
happy.
all situations.
Yeah,
isn't
and
it?
it's like I've experienced it on all three, and it's not a good feeling. And
No, it's not.
for a long time, like I didn't want to tell people anything because it's
Yeah,
like
because
they
it's
don't give a fuck.
uncomfortable. It's weird.
Yeah, and then that's like those stupid tweets. I mean, if you guys have Twitter, maybe you've seen them, maybe you haven't. But I see tweets till this day. I feel like I've seen them my entire Twitter career, and I've
Which
had
is
Twitter
long.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes. Those stupid tweets where people are like, oh, like, keep shit private because, like, people aren't clapping for you or whatever. And it's like, sometimes I want to be like, yo, motherfucker, like, I just graduated college. Like, I just did this shit. Like, be happy for me. And people are like, oh, like,
I tell
so
everyone
many other people do that too.
everything.
I do that. Like, yeah, it's like,
You know what? We can all do the things. That's how I
fuck
feel.
off. And
Like-
let's be happy for one another. Okay?
Yeah,
So
I
that's a
feel
red
ya.
flag. Another friendship red flag for me, I would say, this is one that I would get close. I would have like a girlfriend that I'd be close to, let's say.
Uh-huh.
And they, like Miranda has other best friends. She has other friends. I have other friends. I have other best friends. That's
It's
life.
healthy. It's normal.
Whatever. Yeah. But I always get very concerned. Like, let's say I'm just starting to become friends with someone, or we're just getting to that stage where we're really close, like almost best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they start either talking shit or telling me all their other best friends or friends' secrets.
Mm-hmm.
That is so fucking weird to me.
It is.
I'm like,
I don't...
because it's like when I tell someone, like when I am talking to Miranda about some shit,
Yeah.
like I know this is between Miranda and
Yeah,
I.
we're like having our own
Yeah.
thing.
And I know Rodrigo's going to find some shit out too, because I have no problem telling Rodrigo either. But like Rodrigo's in on all the stuff.
Yeah, he knows.
But like there's just certain things. Like I remember being friends with this one girl, and she told me like the whole rundown on like her best friend from childhood's like entire relationship.
And you're like,
and
you
stuff.
just met me.
And like I'm not gonna tell anyone what
No.
this girl told me, because I'm not that person. But I just remember I was like, I would feel violated.
I'd be like, why are you unloading
because
this
then-
onto me?
Yeah, and not only that, but then I'm scared. I'm like, I don't want to tell you shit, because then
Because
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
go
go-
around and tell everyone else.
That just...
That's a red flag.
You know what's so funny is when Randy has gotten close to people, like during our friendship,
Oh,
I
Miranda
always
always
know.
knows.
I always
she
know.
always knows.
And I haven't always told her like directly, but
no,
she's always
because
known.
Miranda is like my mom. She's like my mom / big sister. Where
Yeah, like figure it
she
out.
tries to give me like the opportunity to figure things out on my own.
Yes.
Or she'll be like, oh, I don't, maybe I'm wrong. And then it happens.
Yeah.
And then Miranda will be like,
I'll be like, Randy.
and I'm like, did you know this was going to happen? And she's like,
Yes.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
You know what's another red flag? People that get clingy too fast.
Oh.
Why are
if
you
I
so
could-
attached to me so fast?
I feel like we're thinking about the same person.
We are. But you know what's funny? Randy and I kind of got attached to each other quickly, but it was like a mutual...
It was a mutual
It wasn't like
infatuation.
one of us with the other. It was like both of us.
No, like, I wish we had the podcast when we went to Coachella, like when
We
first
were
got
wild
super
fucking
close,
people.
because we were wild as fuck. And I will never forget. Okay, so Miranda and I were in fucking Indio, Coachella, having the time of our life. I randomly decided, Miranda convinced me to go, and I said, fuck it, and I went. I wasn't supposed to go with her and her friends. We're there, we're drunk, having the time of our life, dancing in the fucking desert. And I just remember, I don't even know exactly what was said, but
I know where we were, yeah.
I remember exactly where we were, but I called Miranda my best friend.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first time I ever said it to her, like, face, you know, like, oh, you're my best friend. And I just remember both of us were looking at each other and we're like, oh my God, we're best friends. And she was like, I've been wanting to say that. And we just had a moment, and it was the best thing ever.
Oh my God, we're
And-
so stupid. But
Yeah.
it was like, and that was like pretty, like our friendship was like quick. Like
It just went on it happened, we hung
did.
out, and then after that, like, we were
I was
talking
like,
all the time.
let's go to Coachella. We had so much fun. I told Randy, I was like, if you don't come, I don't think I'm gonna go. And she was
Yeah,
like,
she was like
okay.
gonna back out. I was like,
She was like, okay,
what?
well, let's find a ticket. And then we found one.
Yeah, it just happened to work out, and
we had so much fun.
I truly believe like there's people they're put in your life for a reason. Obviously,
Yeah, I
Miranda's one of those
agree.
people. We needed each other at that time,
Yeah.
and that's why we got so close so fast, and that's why we are here where we are now.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I remember that so clearly in my
So I guess it's situational. That could be situational.
But it's like if one person is
one
like,
person is clingy. Yeah,
weird.
that's the whole like a leech.
That's what I mean, weirdo. That's what I mean.
Weirdo behavior. But no, I've been there. I've been like, that's the thing is for me. So if you guys have been listening to What the Fuck Are We Doing, if you know Miranda, both of us personally, or know one of us, you know that Miranda is more to herself than I am. I am more out there and like, we're like, she talks about it all the time. Like, she meets people through me. Like, I can go up to people and talk to them. She could do it too, but she prefers not to. Which is why I'm constantly, like, I have a lot of friends. You know, like, I meet a lot of people. I'll hang out with new people and get to know them.
I think that's why people leech, too. Because you're so open and, like, friendly.
Yes. Yeah. And this is where that lovely man in my life said, Randy, you're naive.
Yeah.
Because I am so open and so vulnerable and so nice. And these people can either manipulate me, you know, or they take advantage of me. And that's where I get burned. And it happens. And now I know that's a red flag.
I just thought of another one. What was it? Oh, possessive friends.
Like, you're not allowed to have other friends.
And it's weird. And you're like, okay. Yeah. You know what? I think I dealt with that more so in high school. Like, now that we're all older, like, and none of me and my friends see each other, like, all the time. Yeah. No one cares. But, like, when I just feel like that's such a high school thing to be like,
I think can't too, be friends. Like, there was times too where I'm sure like I felt like that's my best friend or whatever.
Oh, I still have that. I'm like, why are you talking about Randy like that? But like, it's not like
like I get it, but the people who genuinely like, you can't have other friends, you can't hang out with other people, like you're doing that without me, and like you're a fucking fit, like chill the fuck out. Weird. It's honestly, Miranda and I have like such a healthy relationship, and I'm so thankful for it.
I think it's because we're adult people.
Yeah, we are. But at the same time, like, I still know bitches who are weird like that. Like,
same.
And it's like, how do you expect to experience and like
other people and make new friends?
Yeah, like what? I don't know.
It's weird.
But let's get into the green flags for friendships.
I just got a text. I was like from a really weird number, and I forgot I booked a facial for this week, and that's.
Ooh.
Do I have the money to do it?
You know what's so crazy is I was telling myself, I'm like, January, I'm gonna go because my mom and sister, they go to the place you go to now for your recommendation.
She's amazing.
I'm like, I need to go because they come home and I'm like.
I try to go like it's not cheap, but I'm also like it's my fucking face like
that's an investment. That's something to invest in.
Yeah, so I try to go like. I mean, I would be nice to go every month, but I probably go like every 3 months. Yeah. And I just like, it'll be like when I'm like, okay, like these pores are feeling clogged. Like she needs to just.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had a facial.
It's just so nice and relaxing. I love it. I like when they get all the shit out of my face. It's my favorite. She's like, you want to see? I'm like, yeah, show me. Let me see all the nasty stuff that came out. Gross. Okay, but what are my green flags?
We had the same red flags for friendships. Green flags, what did you put?
I said, this is like just the opposite version of my first one. I said supportive and can be happy for your success without being threatened.
We love supportive people.
Yeah, I said honesty. And I said this because, and I think a lot of people, I think this is why people like my friends have stayed my friends for so long, whether they'll admit it or not. People always think that I'm like really rude and brutal, but I'm really just being honest. And every single one of my high school friends, like all the girls that I'm close to still, I know that's why they're my friends. Like that's why they value our friendship. And it's because I've always been the one that's like, you're being fucking stupid. Like,
yeah, that's one major reason why I value our friendship.
Yeah. And
like, I'm going to tell it like it is.
Yeah. And I know that that's like so many people. I have friends that like I could say something and they'll just be like, yeah, like they're not going to tell me like, no, Joe, like that's so fucking dumb.
See, and those are like the type of people I was friends with for a long time.
Yeah. And
like,
some people are just kind of that way because they're like, maybe it's not my place. But I really value when people tell me to like you got to figure out. Yeah. I love that. And And I said other people that care about you like them. So like your family likes them, your significant other likes them. Like if all the people that love you don't like your friend, then I think that's
Oh my
saying
God.
something.
Yeah,
I had friends like that where my parents were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh no."
yeah, like it's crazy, but I feel like I was always weirded out by it, but now being the age that I am and, you know, just kind of finally having like really good friends
You're
and
like, "I
people in
get
my
it."
life. Yeah, like my sister Raynessa, she would do that. Like me and my sister, like I would do anything for her. I love her. I die for her. Our relationship growing up was always like wishy-washy. We'd be super fucking close and do everything together and
Yeah.
then like not talk and like not be close, and you know that's how our relationship was. But obviously we love each other no matter what.
Yeah.
But I would bring like girls, you know, I'd bring girls home who were my friends, you know, and I just like would always get the sense like whether or not she liked them. And I knew this. Now I know that she was trying to be protective, you know, and like looking over me because she's always been like a mom to me. But I remember I'd be like, God, like, why are you so fucking,
yeah, why are you
like,
so
not,
mean? Yeah.
Not like mean, but like, why are you like so standoffish or whatever? And she'd be like, I just know like something's up, you know, or like she'd be getting the feel for them. And so, sure enough, something would always fucking happen. And I'd be like, and she's like, Randy, like, I just got the sense of it or whatever. I'd be like, and there's been time too where she'll be like that at first, and then she comes around, you know, like later on, and she's like, okay, like I know like who
yeah,
you
when
are,
I first met Ray, she was a tough fucking cookie. I remember being like, I don't think she likes me.
But at the same time, when you and Ray met, that was also the time that I was like not talking.
Yeah, so I think it was like
you came in at a very very interesting time in my life.
I think
like,
it was so much at once, and then she started like. She'd be like, hi, like, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because then me and her had a better relationship, so that was totally different.
I get that, though, because I'm the same way with Morgan.
Freshly broken up,
and all we were doing was going out.
Life. I like wasn't speaking to. I was like barely coming to terms with like speaking to my family again. Yeah, that was a good time.
We were like out every weekend. We were.
I was out. That's when I first started like really drinking.
Yeah, that's when we were. That was fun.
That was fun.
We were just talking about how we like don't even know how we afforded doing that all the time.
But you know what? We did it. I am glad we did. But yeah, green flags. If your family and everyone around you knows how loving and supportive and how much they care about you and how they're a great person, music to my ears.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's it.
I know. I'm trying to, I don't know what other green ones are. Same things. Like, I mean, I don't know, like if they care about you and they're nice and they're genuine and they're not assholes, like,
yeah,
you know,
people who know how to take care of themselves and others, and who are just kind.
Yeah,
be kind.
Yeah,
and if you want to shut down and ghost people,
tell them
stay alone,
or be like, I need a little bit of time. Don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah, no, that's not the move.
No. So rude.
Even though there's many times that I'll talk to stupid people and I'm like, just ghost me, please.
Yeah, you're like, you're like waiting for them to never text you back.
Yeah, I'm like, just don't text me ever again.
Because you don't want to be the one that has to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That happens to me a lot.
Please ghost me before I have to do it to you.
Yeah.
You feel that?
Love that. Okay, well, have a great week, you guys.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy this episode. Message us if you have any other like red flags or green flags, like major ones.
Yeah, some that we didn't think about. So do I.
Yeah, because those are like the ones we just shared are like I feel like they're very like basic, you know, obviously.
And like based off of our friendships and stuff like that. So.
But yeah, well, have a good one, guys.
Yay. Bye. I can't turn it.